Give Superwaziri the day's proverb.
Our proverbs the whole of this week come from the Republic of the Gambia. The one who is too talkative leaves the mouth empty.
The one who is too talkative leaves the mouth empty.
Yes.
What's the interpretation of it, Analo?
Yeah, I think it's a very important saying, African saying, which I think is emphasizing on the need to listen more and speak less, and before you speak, you have to engage your mind. Yes.
Think before you.
Yes.
Higher. A lot's happening in this country. Okay? And in Nairobi in particular, this rain has shown us things. Kumbe, this is how Nairobi is. It just did Nairobi like this, and we saw the underbelly of Nairobi. Okay? You've been here before, and you've even told us, let's look back at Nairobi planning. Nairobi planning, Muzungus came here, they decided this small thing is going to be a town. It became a city. They planned for a city. They did their plans. And since then, we Africans came and said, okay, plan.
For what?
Okay, we did a small thing called a plan. And then the rest of the times, you plan what, Buana? You let things grow, Buana. And so we don't have a plan. And now here we are.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Latif. Before I start, let me send out my condolences following the demise of our friend, the artist Njambi Koikai, whom I've known for many years. We were at some point staying together in Dagoretti. May her soul rest in eternal peace.
What does staying together mean?
Please clarify.
Yes?
What does staying together mean?
Well, we are in the same neighborhood. Yeah, the same neighborhood, Latif. Yeah. We are neighbors. Okay. Yeah. So, thank you so much, Latif, for this chance again to appear on this show to discuss the issues of disaster within this great city of Nairobi and the way forward. Indeed, I find myself very delighted to come and discuss that topic here. But I think as I set off, I would like to indicate that as I mentioned last time, cities face a number of disasters and hazards all over the world. One of them is flooding. In other places, they experience earthquakes. In other places, they have cyclones. But I think also it's good to also remember that for Nairobi, just a couple of years ago, we went through a very harrowing experience of COVID. And I think which was affecting the entire world. So as I respond to what we are doing moving forward as a city, I would like to put this in both local and global context. Last time I mentioned briefly that moving forward, we as a city are focusing on what we call urban resilience-based management, which focuses on helping build the capacity of local authorities to respond to uncertainties and calamities and hazards and risks when they occur. And in this case, we had floods in the city of Nairobi. But just previously, I think towards the last quarter of last year, remember we had El Nino rains. And I think because of what we had done at that time with our Green Army team, the impact was not as had been anticipated. But through the act of God, I think this year, early this year, the heavy rains came. And so the city of Nairobi is part of a global network of 100 cities who are beneficiaries of an urban resilience program by the Rockefeller Foundation, which started in 2013. And basically this program helps to build the capacity of the cities to respond to physical, social, and economic challenges, which are beyond what ordinarily cities deal with. So for city of Nairobi, we saw that the worst hit areas are the settlements along the riparian way lives, the riparian corridor of the 5 main rivers of our city. And one of the things we have embarked on between the county government and national government is to reclaim the riparian corridor. And most of the settlements on this corridor are informal. So I'm sure the next question is, where do you take these people? The long-term program, which I think also I mentioned here briefly, is the urban renewal program. People stay in the informal settlements and slums, not because that's their wish. People stay in informal settlements and slums in urban areas because they cannot meet the cost of housing in the market in the urban areas. So the county government of Nairobi has rolled out an urban renewal program that is targeting initially 5 estates which were built during the colonial days. Mostly they're in the eastlands part of city. We have Bahati, we have Kariobangi, we have Kaloleni, and then on the western side of the city we have Woodley estate, which is more or less a middle-income estate. The intention here is to provide affordable housing. Underline the word affordable. Housing that majority of the urban poor can access decent housing, so that we reduce the attraction of people going to live in settlements that expose them to risks, especially flooding. The other issue is issues of concerning access to safe drinking water. Latif, I think the description of challenges that urban areas face, like the city of Nairobi, is manifested in housing. Poor housing summarizes the entire problem of urban challenges. And one of the issues around housing is access to clean and safe drinking water for families, for homes, but also for industrial use, for industrial and commercial use. There's a robust program by the county government of Nairobi. His Excellency Governor Sakaja, together with His Excellency the President, have secured funding to expand the water supply to the city of Nairobi up to a tune of 2 times what we are receiving. Of course, the question is, when are we likely to have a feel of that? By end of next year, we'll be having a significant increase in water supply within the city. Another important project, Latif, which we are also working on and also impacted greatly on flooding, or rather contributed to flooding, is solid waste management. Solid waste management has remained a very big challenge in our city. We have one dumping site, that is Dandora landfill, which was established again at the colonial period when the city was being founded, and then that dump site has filled up. It has exhausted its limit. There's a project that is coming up very soon. We are at advanced stage now. Negotiation is going on, is being led by the governor and China Electric company. The plant is going to seek to set up a waste to energy program, which will now we are not going to be dumping waste at Dandora dump site anymore, but we will be transforming that waste into energy, which can then be used to power other energy needs of the city. Alongside that is the issue of collection. How do we sustainably collect waste from the 17 sub-counties we have? I remember last time I mentioned briefly, almost 30% of our waste is collected by private waste collectors. But there's a program again in place in our next financial budget, where we are rolling up a program to ensure that we fully, almost 100% collect garbage within the city in order to ensure that we have adequate supply to the plant that is being set up in Dandora. So I think
all those sound programmatic, right?
Yes.
So you're doing a program on urban renewal. You're doing a program on solid waste management. You're doing a program where you're working on securing water sources for the supply of water to Nairobi. But the plan for Nairobi, right? The physical plan that says this is how Nairobi is, this is where facilities, amenities shall be. How does the plan for Nairobi, for example, there is a railway development railway city coming up here. There are other cities surrounding Nairobi that are coming up, private cities. How do all these things fit into the provision of social amenities, transporting people, access to markets, access to shopping facilities, access to schools, access to hospitals, access, just having sewer, access, drainage, proper stormwater drainage and harvesting. What's that thing on the table?
That's what you call a spatial plan.
Where is it, the spatial plan?
I mentioned to you last time that we have a Nairobi City County Integrated Urban Development Master Plan, which is the acronym is New Plan, NIUPLAN. The plan was completed in the year 2014, and one of the proposals of the plan was to do further, area specific detailed plans, and also what it called the pilot, or rather flagship areas. One of those areas is in public transport, which I think we've made significant progress in doing the detailed plan on public transport for bus rapid transit on Ngong Road, on Thika Road, and Waiyaki Way. The next phase that is to follow is the implementation. The second plans that require to be done are the detailed area plans, about 5 plans. I mentioned that we made an attempt to prepare this when NMS was responsible for the planning function. The process went up to procurement but collapsed because of lack of budget. The current administration has prioritized to do those plans in the upcoming budget, following this year's budget policy presentation. Now,
so it's procurement for what? For drawing up the plan?
Yeah, for drawing up the plan. The plan is the preparation of the plan has to be participatory. So you have to hire sections of the process have to be handled by a private consultant,
right? And
there are bits which have to be handled by the county itself.
How long should that process take?
Ordinarily, a plan,
assuming that you have contracted.
Yeah, ordinarily a plan of that magnitude, because we had done the entire tender documents. In 9 months, you have a detailed area plan for a specific district.
So by July 2025. We should be talking about rolling out this detailed area plan.
Once we have the budget, we should be rolling out the plan. But the other plan, which is complete, Latif, is the Eastlands Urban Renewal Plan. The Eastlands Urban Renewal Plan, we worked on it with support from World Bank through the national government, the Ministry of Metropolitan, the State Department for Metropolitan Development. The plan was completed, and it focuses on renewal with the key element being housing. That's the plan that is guiding the housing program that you see national government and county government implementing in the Eastlands part of the city. The second plan that is completed and approved by the county assembly is the railway city plan. The extension of the central business district to cover the area that belonged to Kenya Railways Corporation, which was partly given to the pension scheme. That plan we prepared is complete, is gazetted, is now being implemented. The third plan, Latif, again, and you can check on the website, you see, is the plan that gave rise to the ICDL, Inland Container Depot Corridor. These are growth area for the Nairobi industrial element. That's the one that led to the establishment of the Inland Container Depot. And there are bits which are still to be implemented, including the commuter rail, expansion of the commuter rail to go into that section of the city, and also a right layer from Central Business District into JKIA. The element that I think we have not covered so much, and I saw last time you raised it, but it's being worked on again by relevant sectors, is infrastructure expansion. There has been a lot of interest on sewer and water reticulation and power. You are aware that sewer management and water reticulation is ceded to Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company, which is a corporation that belongs to Nairobi City, and that is being handled jointly with Athi Water Services, which is a state parastatal in the ministry. Why are those two handling? It's because issues of water and sewer are transboundary. They go beyond the boundaries of Nairobi City. We have sections of Kiambu County who consume are conjoined, like Ruiru Town, Thika Town, Juja. The water they use is partly on the same line with the water that comes to the city of Nairobi. So for such elements of sewer expansion and water reticulation, it's mostly managed by national government and Nairobi Water.
Can I ask, I know you want to go to break, but I'm looking at all the plans and I think they're great. In terms of the implementation, if they're going to actually follow the letter of the plan, I think that's something that we wait to see.
Yes.
But in terms of what the county looks like, if you took an aerial view of what the county looks like today, and upon its present infrastructure, the things that are being done, and when I talk about the infrastructure, I'm talking about water sanitation, I'm talking about the sewerage system and all of this, that we continually see the further development upon plans that are decades old, and I'm concerned about what is going to happen. I mean, we had engineers here who told us about the fact that when we now see natural phenomena like flooding, it tells a very, very clear story of what has to be done in the county, especially where it's urbanized, in terms of either stopping further development and opening up this infrastructure. But the question is, before we go beyond what is currently there in terms of development, what is present needs a lot of work and attention. What's being done?
Yeah. Nairobi is experiencing a very huge urbanization pressure. The number of people that we have to house in this city is tremendously increasing every day, even after setting up county governments. And it was hoped that the establishment of 47 county governments will reduce pressure of the city, the migration, rural to urban migration. And of course that increased population exerts a lot of pressure on the current infrastructure that we have. Most which was established, the foundational structure was established before independence, and just the period after independence, and I think up to around 80s. That has kept us going up to date.
We're not going. We're not going. They're still going.
So I agree. Indeed, our infrastructure is stressed. It cannot meet the current size of population that we have, and that's why I'm here to talk about the plans that we have. Some are currently being implemented. I will, for example, mention to you that Nairobi Water is currently working on the line that serves Kileleshwa and is extending it all the way to include the slum settlement, or rather the informal settlement that underlies Kileleshwa, that is Kawangware. The line in the Central Business District is also being extended and expanded. I've talked about water, which we have secured funding for increased Northern Collector Tunnel 2 and Ngedu Dam expansion, which by next year we should significantly reduce rationing in the city. Let me say,
Next year.
And I think I
You just got the funding, boss. Where next year there will be more water.
Well, these are civil works, Latif, which have to be worked on. I mentioned that the trunk infrastructure that we have in the city Most of it was established in the colonial period.
Yeah.
There was no anticipation that from a population of 200,000 people that will have this expansive growth. Within 50 years, you have now 5 million, 6 million people to take care of it. But I should also mention that we must have incremental and gradual, continuous investment in infrastructure expansion for a primary city like Nairobi. If you ask me from where I sit, the successive governments after the 1963 really did not do what you would say that needed to have been done to put us up to where we are. I have a 1976 Nairobi growth strategy, which I was going through yesterday as I was preparing to come to this meeting. If that 1976 Nairobi's Metropolitan area growth strategy had been implemented, Latif, we would not be here discussing a strained sewer lines, you constrained water supply within the city. But however, now that we are here today as the current generation, the current leadership of the city, the question is, what are we doing to address those challenges? And I'm saying there are plans that we are currently, they have been designed. There are those we are implementing, and there are those we need to develop. But moving forward, Latif, if you ask me, from where I sit and my sister, we must address the issue of access to housing in our city. If we continue having more people having to live in squalor conditions in all those informal settlements, I don't think we'll be fixing the problem that we face as a city.
So let's take a break. When we come back, you'll tell us how new plan looks at Nairobi. How many years is it? How many years ahead
It's
does it
taking us
project?
up to 2032.
It's just up to next week. So do we have a plan that can take us up to 2050, 2040, 2050?
Plans, we have
Right.
already kicked off the
Okay.
preparation of Nairobi 2050.
Sour.
Yes.
Because that's the time, that's what we keep hearing from this administration. If you look at Nairobi in the next 15 years, the population of Nairobi will be unbelievable. So
Yes.
how are we now
Yes.
for that, and how are you working towards that? You'll tell us that.
I'll address that.
Our guest this morning is the County Secretary the Acting County Secretary for Nairobi and the Chief Officer for Urban Development and Planning, Patrick Analo. We are talking about looking at the future, the lessons that we've learned from what we are seeing in Nairobi now, and how are we working towards making sure that we finish and deal with those issues now and make sure that generations of Nairobi in the next 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years will not be facing what we are dealing with today. There is a special plan for Nairobi, the Nairobi Integrated Urban Development Plan, new plan, which has, now it's a big one. And it has now several elements that
It has several elements.
needed to come in. And they said some of them have been approved and should be going into implementation. It's Land's Urban Renewal Plan, the Railway City Plan, the ICDL Industrial Area Plan, the Bus Rapid Transport Plan. What we expect to start getting into is developing the detailed area plans for the various areas of Nairobi. And as we move forward, and we are addressing those things. But as we took the break, you said, but we must think about the people who live in Nairobi and the condition that they live in Nairobi, right?
Yes.
And urban squalor is not just the type of house that they live in. It is everything in that neighborhood.
Yes.
It is whether they have access to those basic services like waste management, whether they can get access to water in their taps, whether they can get access to roads and properly paved roads, whether they can get access to schools and all those things. So what's the plan here? Even as we address those, because what I hear is, like you told us, there is the urban renewal program for the 5 estates. And you said Bahati, Kariobangi, Kaloleni, Woodley. What's the 5th?
Yeah, the 5th we have, I think there's a program on Jogo Road. I'll get you the details here.
So those ones, there is urban renewal, and you're having the affordable housing project coming up. Are they addressing all these issues of access to water, to sewer, to...
Yeah, so urban renewal as a terminology in urban planning addresses, it is predicated on the understanding that there is amenities or infrastructure that was put in place to serve a certain purpose. And it has exhausted, or rather attained its limit. And in this case, we are talking about those estates that I've mentioned, Latif. So the urban renewal program is, of course, at the center of it is housing. But you look at housing as both as a commodity and a service. So the program, the plan has addressed the issues of sewer expansion for those particular area, employment centers for the youth, including establishment of markets, and related to that, this administration of Governor Sakaja has a target of doing 20 markets within 5 years. Already we have 3 already on course. We've rolled out Mutuini. We're about to roll out South Bay Market and Karen. The urban renewal plan also looks at social amenities, schools, health centers, waste management, police stations. So that all of that has been covered within the Eastlands Urban Renewal Program.
How long is the new lease of life? Because we're talking about now these estates are old, and that's why we are renewing them, right?
Yes.
So they were not done anything for decades.
Yes.
The new one, how many years are you giving them?
Well,
so when you say that you're putting up a market, this market is to serve what size of population?
Yes.
By the time this estate is now fully matured?
Yes, I mentioned earlier that we've kicked off the process of preparing the Nairobi 2050. So I would want to say that the estates that we are setting up in this urban renewal program should take us up to beyond 2050.
So the market, for example, the Mutuine market, should be able to serve a certain population by the year 2050.
Yes.
Maybe it should be able to serve a population of about 1 million people.
1 million people
around Mutuine.
Yes, and that is based on the population projection. But remember, if we hit that limit, currently the market is ground plus one. Sprawling. We've tried to encourage.
What size of land?
I think is about that public land could be about 3 acres. I do not have the details, but it's quite expansive. The residents of that area, told us they would like a market that is at ground level, so that you do not have to really, walk so much going up. There are some markets which you have to do multi-story. Yeah. And our plan is that once we hit that population, then you can introduce the first level. Yeah.
Okay. It seems that even with the plan, that there's still a lot of pressure on Nairobi in this central area where there's just so much going on at the same time, and we still keep adding on it. So is there a conversation? And I think that there must be. When we talk about dormitory areas of Nairobi, I mean, there's the Nairobi Metropolitan area, which we know includes these areas that we spoke about. Ruiru on this side, coming to this other side of Syokimau, and then this other side of Kiseri, Athi River, right? But then what's the idea in terms of expansion? Because the truth of the matter, whether we're engineers or not, Nairobi cannot take this pressure that is currently being exerted on it for the developments that we see in, you mentioned South B, South C. Kilimani keeps coming up. We're looking at Embakasi. That continues to be an issue. There's no water below ground level in Isli, for example. How many boreholes have been sunk in Isli? Right? Yeah. So those are the issues that we're talking about. And where is the idea to say, let's start to take this concentration and move it out of where there's already so much pressure? Is there a conversation around that? Because usually what the idea will be is that it's too expensive, we can't start. But yes, you can. There are nations that have done that and said, look, it's a capital city, so the administration is there, and because of that, people are going to want to be close to centrality. Where is the conversation to say it cannot get any bigger than it is?
Yes.
What you have is what you have.
Yeah, I'm very happy that you brought up that conversation, and you've I think since we left each other last time, looks like you've studied this matter more deeply, and I'm seeing now you're opening up to the conversation I tried to bring forth last time. Well, one of the things I would wish you to appreciate globally, cities are really trying to run away from urban sprawl. Urban sprawl basically means having one continuous city from Nairobi all the way to let's say to Isinya, or from Nairobi all the way to Thika and beyond. Well, eventually, as you're saying, we will get there. But as we get there, we must be able to afford.
Yeah.
It is quite expensive to manage such an sprawling city, which we others call Metropolitan. But still, we have predicted that will come to
eventually will happen.
Yeah, will happen.
It's already happening.
Yeah, and that's why we have. So that is what we call inter-county planning, because it involves several counties: Nairobi, Kiambu, Nairobi, Machakos, Nairobi, Kajiado. There's a program and a process which is being coordinated by the county, the national government, the Ministry of Urban Development and Lands. What are we addressing to do that? If we can have proper public transport, Latif, and mainly mass rapid transit, which can either be a commuter rail or a bus rapid transit, it's possible to achieve what my sister is saying, that you can stay in Isinya and get onto the train, and within 1.5 hours you are in Nairobi. But as of now,
realistically, Patrick, but just look at it as of now,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Nairobi, and if you look at the expanse of Nairobi, well, you've said it. Just a few kilometers out of Nairobi, you're in Machakos, right? A few kilometers out of Nairobi, you're in Kajiado. You're in Kiambu. You're in Murang'a. Well, you don't touch Nairobi into Murang'a, but close by, right?
You do. Once you're in Thika, Murang'a just next door.
Yeah, but Thika, you're already in Kiambu. So, but you're so close to these areas. Even if you do the mass bus rapid transport from Nairobi, just past Karen, and you're in Kajiado. Why can't we just already start thinking about the Nairobi metropolitan area, which has already been established, and saying this is the city?
And that's what I'm telling you. For example, we
tell Kiambu, listen, Kiambu up to here, this has come into Nairobi.
So one of the programs that we have already rolled out, and when I say we, this is both the national government and the 3 county governments. We have the Nairobi Metropolitan Transport Authority, which is in acronym is called NAMATA.
Yes.
On NAMATA, the head of NAMATA, or rather the steering committee chair, is the minister in charge of transport, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, is assisted by His Excellency Governor Sakaja, and then we have the governors from these other 3 counties sitting on NAMATA. NAMATA is looking at issues of transport within these 3 metropolitan cities. I've also mentioned to you we have the Athi Water Services Company, which is also looking at issues of water within the 3 metropolitan areas. Latif, the way to really handle a metropolitan city is not really to encourage private transport. It is not sustainable. Even from air quality point of view, the cost of living, we want to really talk about mass public transport, because if the metropolitan area of Nairobi, which covers those 3 counties, has an urban population of about 17 million people. So these 17 million people, the most feasible and reasonable and economically and environmentally acceptable way is to move this labor force using public transport. And that's why the flagship program for the metropolitan growth area is a transport authority. Now, the other thing is housing, which my sister has also raised. Well, again, you must have a choice whether you want to stay in Isinya, and this is benchmarkable on developed cities. For example, Tokyo Metropolitan, it has a population of about 18 million. There are people who would prefer to stay at the center, my sister. So that's why I'm talking about affordable housing and urban renewal. And then we will have people who are just about to exit active urban service, and they would like to stay on the outer the outer areas of the metropolitan area, and you provide for them the choice to travel. So today I've noticed city is so, is so quiet today, and I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, I mean, if you have to give choices between staying at the city center and on the periphery in Juja, in Thika, or in or in Isinya, looking at cities, experience of having stayed in the city, he's the person you will give the choice to, to stay 30 kilometers away. But for a young guy who is at Daystar University, Nairobi University,
what's the vibrancy?
Yeah, the guy who is doing startups, he has to work up to around midnight. Yeah. You give him the choice to stay in the eastlands part of the city.
But Ndugu, there's something that I've been waiting for you to mention. That's why I've been quiet.
Yes.
Ensuring that you seriously talk about and then create boroughs. You see, if the concept, you are a planner, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and that's why I brought it up. If you take the concept to its logical conclusion, many of the problems that we're talking about will not just dissipate, they'll become manageable. Because those units will be able to take care of many of the things that we keep talking about. But with the centrality of what we have right now, they become near impossible.
Yeah, but city, we are the first county to talk about boroughs.
No, I've said, let's forget talking. We've talked. That's why I said
we're implementing boroughs.
Where?
We're implementing boroughs in the city of Nairobi.
Where?
We are implementing 6 boroughs in the city of Nairobi city. Wait a minute. So we've already completed the process of public participation, formation, defining of boundaries. We've groundbroken the first borough headquarter.
Where?
On Thika Road, Kahawa, Clay City. The construction is underway. The second one is
coming. And that borough, what will it be called?
That's this borough along the Kasarani Mwiki borough.
Yes, that's what it's called.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And you've broken ground for?
You must create the facilities.
I understand all that.
Yes, yeah. And there's the concept, the idea behind a borough and the operations.
Yes.
You must establish the systems and the mechanisms.
Yes.
And the processes.
Yes.
To manage a borough.
Yes.
The concept behind a borough, for example, city. Just quickly, let me talk about water reticulation. The guy in Westlands, as His Excellency the Governor has always given the example, or the guy in Mwiki, has no business thinking about water reticulation in South Sea. He should wake up thinking about water reticulation in Westlands, in Runda, in Muthaiga, in Digiri. And that's the concept we are trying to implement. And we've researched on this, we've tested it, we've piloted.
You shouldn't be trying to implement it. You're a planner, you know exactly what needs to be done. I want to hear you saying, we are in the process of enacting the following so that we realize this. We shouldn't be trying.
Well, City, I think the word trying is to demonstrate that we are progressive people. We are not, this is not cast in stone, because, being a program that is kicking off, this is the first phase. Of course, there will be continuous feedback and input from city residents, people like you. So I will not allow you to pour cold water on a program
I'm adding heat
on a
it.
program that city as an urban planner I'm so passionate about. That actually there are even other counties and countries that have started coming to benchmark on us on how to set up a borough system of management city.
To benchmark on something that hasn't started?
And I hope you are not taking offense on the borough management when I suggested that we can have senior citizens of the city who, if want to live in Isinya or Juja or Thika, this city, we believe in the principle of inclusivity. If you want to stay in a urban renewal housing program in the eastlands part of the city, you're welcome, city. But what you are saying, I was just trying to explain what my sister said, that Nairobi cannot continue to take on the additional pressure of the population that is coming in the city. And I said, yes, we are aware of that as planners, and we have a plan in place. They are the pilot program, is the transport Namata program. Yes.
You are passionate about the borough program, as am I.
Yes.
Because I understand the concept and I know what it can do.
Yes.
Among the things that I know it can achieve, this problem we keep having about revenue.
Yes.
The moment you divvy up this particular city and you have ensured that you have actually given those very units okay, the powers that it has, many of the issues, and I'm repeating it again, including revenue collection, will not be what it is right now. But this monolith that we have, this is something you know far better than I can ever know.
And I can tell you already, we have surpassed the revenue targets ever raised since the advent of Nairobi County government. And that has been program number 1 of implementing the borough system. So we are not trying. We actually doing it. I'm just being humble. I don't want to blow our trumpet that this thing is working.
So the first borough is your Apokawa.
Yes,
Right?
that's the first construction.
Okay, it's a construction.
Yes.
So you're constructing the office?
You're constructing the establishment of the offices, the facilities. There's going to be a lot of tech. This borough is going to be driven by smart cities technologies.
So what's going to be in that facility?
Of course, we are going to have, we have devolved fire services, emergency services.
Okay.
We are going to set up the emergency services. We are going to have a customer care center at that particular borough. You're going to have a social hall. You're going to have a setup of all the necessary, specialists within the city, like engineers, the urban planners, the revenue guys.
So you go and get approvals there, you pay.
Yes, you'll not have to come all the way from Saika or Obama or Karinde from the other side of the city to come to City Hall. And City, the example you have given is so classical, and I really like it. Revenue collection.
Yes.
And national government is really hammering on counties, the need of counties to grow on-source revenue. Latif.
So who's going to be in that facility? Who's going to be the boss?
We are going to hire, His Excellency, Governor is going to hire a borough manager who is going to be on contract.
Can the borough manager be elected by the people?
No.
Why not?
This is an employee. He's supposed to be employed to deliver
manage
services.
the borough.
Yes, to manage the borough. And he's on contract. Remember the program we tried in our level 4 hospitals, and it's working. You know, there's and I've seen the minister, the national government minister, through that debate that civil servants should be put on contract. So we put our CEOs of level 4 hospitals on contract. That is Mama Lucy, Mbagathi, Mutuini, and Pumwani. And I'm telling you, City, it has really changed the fortunes.
Is the revenue collected in a borough?
Yes.
Part of it ring-fenced towards reinvestment in the borough?
Good discussion. So remember, City within. So one of the other foundations of a borough management system is physical semi-autonomy.
Yes.
Yeah, physical, not physical planning, physical financial, autonomy. So through a public participation, through the county integrated development plan, resources that have been generated within a local borough, that borough will get a priority to reinvest those resources in key services within that particular borough. But we're also going to encourage competition, healthy competition between boroughs, like areas of revenue collection, service delivery, urban greening, taking care of the needy, like the destitutes, the poor within society, and I think is a better way rather than really this central way of managing devolved units.
Waziri, we've got to end it here. We'd like to invite you so we can be discussing one thing at a time.
Yes.
In all these plans.
I really want to.
For example, if we talk about the transport, you come when we're discussing transport.
Yes.
Or housing, and we're discussing housing.
Yes.
Or services, and we're discussing
I really want to come back, but even as I conclude, in all this, Latif, let me tell you, and City, we must Let me tell you, and this is drawn from experience. Yes, we are also trying to look at if the next hazard happens, which we do not really know what it is, how well are cities prepared to respond to such hazards? And the response is in how you organize your sectors, water, health, social amenities, transport, and all that.
Right now, we're not.
I would say that we out of 10, we could say we did 7.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Asante. Patrick Analo is the acting county secretary and is the chief officer for urban planning. No, it's called what?
Urban development and planning.
Urban development and planning.
Yeah.
Asante for joining us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.